Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this Monday's Wealth Creation Show. Today, we're going to talk about the roots of success and really delve into what we mean by that, the roots of success, and what we define success as. I suppose everybody, hopefully, strives for success in their own way, no matter what they're doing, whether it's in business, in education, or your personal growth, your fitness, things like that. But what we're going to try and explore today is what kind of lies at that heart of success and what success means to individual people, because it could be different in many ways, Jim. I mean, for instance, personally for you, people might look at you and think, Jim's successful. But what is success to you? How do you define your own success?
I'm not really sure. It's just me. It's just me.
Yeah.
It's just what I do, I suppose. I just take it as it's a journey. It's never a destination, and that's it, really.
What I've picked up on through our conversations, and obviously known you for many years now, is your success was always based on, having that freedom to do what you wanted to do, being the owner of your own life and not having to really answer to people, and having that freedom to do things in a way that you've seen fit rather than having to adapt to somebody else. Is that a big part of it?
Does that crossover between success and goals?
I suppose it does, but then I
Because
suppose
it's really the ultimate goal is about never to be answerable to anybody.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I'm answerable to Elaine.
That's different, though.
Even though I think I'm never answerable to anybody.
Yeah.
Notice to say that right quietly because she's in another room. But I don't. I think for me personally, in the very first instance, I wanted to build a legacy, so I would ultimately be free to do what I want to do when I want to do it. I didn't say to give up what I do, because I'm a big fan of, if you enjoy what you do right now, then create your side hustle to create your lifestyle, because that's what it does. What you're doing right now is you're living. And your side hustle is your lifestyle it creates, because it's additional upon what you've got. It's not additional to what you've got. There's a bit of a, if anybody understands that, additional upon what you've got, not additional to what you've got. Now there's a distinction there, and the distinction is above what you've got means that you're not really using it for anything. It's not used for day-to-day living. Additional is, yes, you're using it day-to-day living. So then it becomes a constant thing you have to generate in order to do that. So you're on a hamster wheel.
Yeah.
So you have to generate it. It's like the person that gets a wage rise and goes, I could buy a bigger house. And it's like, oh my God. It's like, that's not what you do with that. You take it aside and you put it aside and you keep saving that because you don't really need it. It shouldn't change your lifestyle. It shouldn't change your circumstances. But in the future, it'll give you a lot more choice.
Yes.
You can pay the price now or you can pay it later, but at some point you'll pay that price for success or failure.
Yeah, and society now, there's always that big need, like you say, to keep upsizing, even when you don't need to, just because you want to, or you want to keep up with everybody else. Bigger house, bigger cars, more expensive cars. All these things, all these
whole
material
of society
things.
and culture is geared that you want to acquire everything. You have to become a consumer. That's what the whole society is derived around. The media is derived around that completely, to get you to consume things. Even the government policy now is to get you to spend and consume. They want you to spend your inheritance. They don't want you to pass it on to your children. Hence the reason why they've got inheritance tax on everything now. And I've just found out, and I think it's factual, that if you have a trading business, you still pay 20% inheritance tax on that trading business now. Hence the reason why the farmers were up in arms. It's like, wait a minute, I was going to pass this on to my children. Now I've got to pay inheritance tax on it. But I found out it's for trading businesses as well now. I'm sure that's the conversation I had last week with Schroders.
And is that,
wealth management.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not too clued up on that. Could you not pass that on through a trust without getting...
I've not got to that bit yet.
Right.
But I've been told what happened before for inheritance tax purposes is every single trading business, not an investment business, proper investment business, but every trading business was exempt from inheritance tax. Now, the reason for that is because of the trading business, then if you pop your clogs and your trading business is worth billions, then you've got to pay inheritance tax on that. Therefore, where are you going to find that money without actually folding the business or loaning against the assets of the business? Where are you going to find that money to pay that off?
Yeah.
And that's why trading businesses were exempt. But now, apparently, the Labour government have sneaked this in. I've been told, unless somebody can correct me otherwise, that it's 20% of that now. It's like, well, wait a minute. It's like, do you mean to say it's put it this way? We are at where are we? The 7th of July, 2025. Yes. Taxation is going to get worse in the future. We're living in broke Britain. Yeah, broke Britain. And it's not just us. It's right around the world. It's right around, I would say, Western culture. Because it seems to be that China and all the rest of it had their things under control.
And they're not experiencing the same things as what we are.
Whereas the West, they've got a less of a debt per head of population, minimal, according to records, as opposed to America and Britain, who have got huge amounts of debt per head of population. America's like $100,000 a debt per head of population. Britain's about £40,000 to £50,000 per head of population debt. And it's getting bigger. And the governments don't understand how to balance the books. And they fall at the first hurdle. Look at the big mass, and it's because I've date referenced this, obviously, so I can talk about this. Yeah. Look at the big mass, because we'll be able to look back on this in the future and see what actually transpired. Yeah. Look at the best mass exodus or the mass rebellion the backbenchers did for the Labour Party, and 150 MPs said, I ain't going to vote for your welfare bill to cut the welfare budget by $5 billion to save taxes. So they've actually had to do a U-turn. In order to appease them, and therefore they've not cut the bill by that at all. So they've still got all that debt to pay off. They've still got all that tax to raise in order to pay off these debts about, what they've actually had to do a U-turn in. It's crazy. There's going to be some interesting times ahead, and it'll be interesting to look back and see, where it is. But I do think, she's not, Rachel Reeves has not ruled out the budget having taxation increases in November this year.
Right, okay.
I think that will entirely happen. Whether it's going to be stealth and through the back door, they're going to nail somebody else for it, or they're going to just come clean and go, we're going to have to put the taxation rate up for the basic rate payers. This is quite interesting. The 1% of wealthiest people in Britain pay 30% of the tax.
Which a lot of people wouldn't realise, because a lot of people are up in arms about this 1% and them kind of dodging the tax.
If you get to a 5 or 10%, they pay 70% of the tax. It's like, what?
That's crazy, yeah.
Yeah, so when you think about it, it's like we've got this mentality about eat the rich, and it's like you're just chopping down the tree that bears the fruit. That's what you're doing when you're doing that. That is a crazy policy to have. And it's like, well, you can go and live somewhere else. Yeah, we could live somewhere else, but what happens is,
with them.
Yeah, we'll not take the taxation because we're still got UK companies and they'll still pay tax as usual in the UK. But as an individual, I will pay tax possibly on that UK income, but before it's taken out. But then I'll take that money and go and spend it in a different country. That's the point.
And then that takes it out of this economy.
Yeah, it takes out of this economy. Therefore, you're not spending it back into this economy. It's like what I argue every single time about local businesses, about supporting your local businesses and stop buying from corporates.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, a lot of people use Amazon. But what happens with that is the money goes somewhere else. The money you're spending actually gets spent with somewhere. Yeah. And they create jobs and all the rest of it. So I'm quite, I'm okay with that. They create jobs locally and everything like that. And they keep people in business. And they're allowed, the local businesses can now sell through Amazon as well. And they take a cut. Well, that's the way the business works. If you're not doing marketing or nobody knows what your brand presence is, it's a good way to accelerate your sales.
Yeah, to get on the Amazon
And
platform.
yeah, you just take a cut. It's like Just Eat. It's like Five Eats. It's like Deliveroo and all the rest of it. All these different companies take a wee cut, but it's because they're doing all their marketing and everything for you, and therefore you're going on their platform. Just like for property, where Rightmove, Prime Location, Zoopla, S1 Homes, you pay for being on these to advertise the properties because you're maybe not as good as marketing the property as these websites are, or they reach a different audience that you can't reach.
So I
That's the
suppose that,
sort of thing.
that cut then balances out your marketing budget and things, because you're not going to have that if you're on their platform.
Yeah, but coming back to where this is going to go, who knows? And it'll be interesting to see what happens in November. Anyway, let's get back to the basics of how you personally define success. For me, it is definitely freedom, and it's a journey. It's never a destination. Back to where I start to climb another mountain, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Maybe literally.
I was just going to
Coming
say,
up this year.
you have got a few of them lined up.
Yeah, maybe this year, maybe literally. I've still not committed, by the way, but maybe this year, maybe literally. I'll climb another mountain, and then run another mountain next year. But we'll see what happens out of that. But it is that thing. Interestingly enough, I was quite interested in this. Kevin O'Leary mentioned this morning. You know my goal about living at 120, and everybody goes, "You're talking rubbish. That's impossible," and the rest of it. Kevin O'Leary, I was listening this morning, just on the end of a diary of a CEO. He said to Stephen Bartlett, "You're at a young age where you could change your habits right now, and you could eat and exercise the right things, okay, and you'll possibly live to 120." I knew it could happen. Now people are believing it.
For you, it's quite good to hear somebody else actually.
Now people are believing it.
Now
people believe that could be entirely possible, given the right nutrition and the right exercise and the right what do you call it? Probably just the right. Could I use the word chi? I know it's about your body, about health, and all the rest of it, and looking after it, and being in the zone. I think, and see how
consistently, though, I think is important as well.
Well, it's the Tony Benn thing. It's not the Tony Benn thing itself. It's the phrase, and I'll see if I can find it here. But it's a fantastic phrase. I love it. What he says, and it's not just the Tony Bennett said it. Remember, it's about the phrase. It's not about the politician. It's the same each time with progress. First they ignore you, then they say you're mad, then dangerous, and then there's a pause. And then you can't find anyone at all that disagrees with you. So it will happen. It's inevitable. We'll live longer.
Yeah.
Some people
and
won't.
you do see that trend with things. Can you people like, oh, you're crazy, you're talking rubbish, and then it's like they start to see it. Oh, this does work, and then everybody comes around to it, and it's like, yeah, I see that a lot with things.
It's the Roger Bannister thing. When you're not gonna, we're never going to break the 3 minute mile, 4 minute mile, or whatever that was. I'm just trying to see where it is. Roger Bannister. Was it a 3 minute mile? Was it I'm not really sure what it was. 4 minute. That's it. 4 minute mile. You'll never ever break the 4 minute mile. That's what Chariots of Fire was all about, I think. You never ever break it, and therefore, it happened. And then once it was broken, it was like everybody was going, "Well, wait a minute, could we do the 3 minute mile?" Look at the marathon. The marathon, you'll never do under 2 hours. This is where the roots of success are sown in people's minds.
And and the mindset, getting that right at the beginning, because if you start off with the wrong mindset, then you're going to be way off track.
If you cannot believe it deep down, with probably a bit of wild optimism here, but if you cannot really believe it's possible, then you'll never achieve it. But you have to first believe from within. That's where the roots of success come. It's belief within first. And then it starts to manifest itself outside of there. And if you really believe it, you can achieve it. But you have to apply discipline. You have to apply it. For one thing, I'm going to manifest it with my mind. It's like, it's just going to happen. It's like, no, you have to actually do something.
You have to actually put things into action, yeah.
But there's some people delusional enough to actually think it's just like, oh, if I think about it enough, it'll happen. Well, if you think about it enough, it possibly might happen, because you'll start to do things that you don't even know you're actually doing to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's how that all happens. That's all how it all comes about. So that's the basics, how I would probably define it overall in success. Everybody else might have a different opinion. Please feel free to put something in the comments about what you think your opinion of success is, or your definition. More than happy to hear that.
What I picked up on there, and you mentioned about, people having the mindset and having a plan and goals and things, and sometimes them being quite wild, and probably people thinking that's a bit audacious. But then a lot of successful people, their initial goals and where they look at your goals when you started out, it was wild and audacious, but it got you to somewhere successful.
Yeah, look at Tesla as a great textbook example. I've probably talked about it for years and years and years as a case study in possibly Harvard Business School, where this guy came along and says, I'm going to sell PayPal, I'm going to take my money, I'm going to put it into electric cars, and everyone's like, you're flipping nuts.
You're off your head.
And it's like, and I'm going to call it, it was called something different in the beginning, but then they called it Tesla, after obviously the famous Tesla.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, you'll never be. No one in their right mind has ever built a car company in the last God knows how many years, let alone an electric car company. You are absolutely mad throwing your money at this. And you could go back and you see all the business programs saying, this guy's off his nut. He's off his rocker. What did he do? And history has foretold that story already.
Well, the rest of the
cars all over the place.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hundreds of thousands sold every year, possibly millions, worldwide.
Yeah,
and the technologies that they're evolved into and all the rest of it. And yeah, people are catching up with them. But I do think the Tesla will end up being the Apple of the car industry, of the electric car industry. It'll be like, it's a brand. It's a status symbol, Tesla.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. Plus the fact it's like, technology wise, later on, all the data they're collecting, all the things that they're doing in the background, Tesla themselves, they're not just an electric car company. And that's what people don't realize about Tesla. I'll never invest in them, by the way, because it's not in my core competence.
The electric car?
Yeah, it's a shiny penny. Yeah. It's like, yeah, oh great. Let's go for Tesla. Let's invest in Tesla because you believe in it so much. It's like, no, I'm making enough money in property, and in terms of what I do, I'm quite happy with that. And that's when you come to the definition of rich. You're truly rich if you had any more money and it would never change what you do. You're truly rich.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm truly rich then. Because having more money is not going to change me at all. I won't do anything more or less different. I'll probably give it away more. More money would mean I'll give more away. That's probably what it comes down to. But apart from that, I mean, yeah, I can get a brand new camper van instead of running about my T25. It's like, but I like my T25. I love it. It's great. I'll be working on it. Starter's no working now. Popping heck. Halfway back for Glastonbury, the decides no to start. Oh, God. Managed to get it started, but just kept it going.
Don't turn it off.
Just kidding. The fuel gauge went as well halfway. Went to halfway and it just goes boom, down to zero. It's like, oh, how many did we fill up with? Where's halfway? And how many to the gallon and all the rest of it? Okay, we need to fill up now, later on at petrol stations. And we kept a can just in case. And then we ended up having to pour that in when the engine was running. Just because it's like, we can't switch it off now. So we'll just have to pour that canister in and make it home. So luckily we made it home, but it's no starting. It's on the driveway. I think it's the starter motor. I know it's the starter motor because the ignition's turning, it's clicking. It's definitely the starter motor. And I wait till my friend comes back because he loves camper vans as well. We'll just work on it together. But yeah, definitely, probably with that. But see how that sort of, I've got no desire to, I mean, I look at the new Holiday Citroen and I think there was Holiday Citroen, you can take the actual sink unit and you can take everything out and you can put it outside and you can have more space, you can have 4 berths like before, and it's like, but it's a Citroen.
See.
Yeah, VW camper. It's like this. You see the brand thing. It's a Citroen. It'll never hold its value.
No,
there's nothing valuable about it at all. VW T25, 40 years old, vintage will hold its value and it'll probably end up going up.
Mm-hmm.
But I love doing what I do with it, and it's the memories that you create with it. That's all.
That's the mixy thing. So like you say, it holds its value, but it's also kind of, it falls into kind of your hobby thing for you as well, because it's an interest of you, like the actual.
Let's say it's a labour of love. I would
Yeah.
say. I think that's what it is, and so it'll never really truly change me, because I can go and buy a brand new camper if I wanted to. But would I? No. Would I? No. Never ever.
No.
Don't see the point in it, and I will say never ever. Because everybody goes, oh, don't say never ever. And it's like, yeah, I'm saying never ever. It's like, I'll stick with the T25. Quite happy to do that. I mean, I would happily get an engine rebuild and a full bodywork replacement in order to get it working perfect and electrics and everything, and just get it with all the authentic parts. So it's not changing anything. And that would be about, what, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 grand. I don't care. It's like, I've got what I want then. I don't have a brand new thing. It's like, no,
Yeah.
doesn't appeal to me at all.
That's interesting. And you were just talking about when you're truly rich there, if you could make money and get to a point where making more money wouldn't change what you do and who you are at the moment. And that's the true definition of rich. And then you're saying obviously there about, I think money is quite an important thing, because people think it's the definition of your success and your wealth and things. But I mean, don't get me wrong, it's an important factor.
Hold your breath and try breathing without oxygen.
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean,
that's exactly what money's like.
Yeah, and it's a really important and a fundamental part of success and wealth creation and things. But it's not the whole picture, and I think that's what people get construed.
Here's how important money is. Most couples break up not for infidelity, but because of lack of money and arguments over money. That's a fact. Most couples can get through an infidelity, but the majority of couples can't get through money problems. It's like one's getting carried away with a credit card all the time, spending like it's going out of fashion, just getting, completely almost like an addiction. It's like that is why most couples break up. That's crazy to think about it. Eh?
Yeah,
it's like, and I thought, yeah, I could get that, because people they get jealous of each other. It's like, why have you got that, and why have you got this, and why have I not got that? It's like, why are you getting nights out all the time when I'm having to stay in? It's like, well, because I earn more.
And that's the thing as well, I think. And
that's how that happens, isn't it? Because I earn more. It's like, okay, but we are both working toward the same goal.
Yeah.
So because you earn more, you're entitled to that. It's like, but what was the point then? It's
modern society now, in couples and things, even whether they've got families and things as well, they do kind of keep their finances still separate rather than all being one. And that's what causes that, I think, because obviously going back years ago, it was, combined, and it was housewife and husband thing, and all that. But it's all different nowadays, and people do have their own incomes, and they try to kind of keep them separate quite a lot as well.
Yeah. And I could understand why, but why would you then go into a relationship and immediately say to yourself, we're just going to keep our finances separate?
Yeah.
It's like, there's a bit of trust straight away, or mistrust.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's never a right answer to it. It depends on what your situation is, or it depends a lot on what you've been brought up with as well. Remember, there's still some people there, and this is obviously part of the roots of success as well, but a bit more detailed in terms of couples' relationships and stuff like that. But there's a lot still there where a man feels he has to be the breadwinner. He has to be the person that earns the most. And if you have an outstanding woman at what she does, and she could wipe the floor with the man in terms of earning potential, there's some of them that often don't thrive.
Yeah, and if you're not aligning with, this is a very big, an important part. I think if you're trying to be successful and build a business or whatever, in your personal partnership, that's where your finances start. That's where you get that mindset from. Do you have the right foundations in that scenario for you to be able to, like take you and Elaine, Jim. Elaine does a lot of stuff in the background that helps you do your job, which ultimately builds your wealth. Do you know what I mean? So you bounce off each other in that way. because
This
you've got
this
that
is why
understanding.
choosing the right partner to spend the rest of your life with is probably one of the most important fundamental things you'll ever do.
Hmm.
You'll ever do. Because this person is either going to build you up or they're going to tear you down.
Yeah.
They're going to take you with them. And it's primarily because you maybe, oxytocin and all the rest of it, all the laws of attraction. It's like, I like this person, I love this person, and everything like that. But you don't know the baggage that comes with it.
Yeah.
The history that they've had, the upbringing they've had, the difficulty they've had to go through, maybe the abuse that they've had to take. You don't know probably anything about that at all. And you're picking this person, and in the next minute, they're taking you with them on this journey. So
Hmm.
this is why a lot of successful, let's say this is why a lot of successful women actually probably marry up.
Hmm.
I don't know if you've noticed, but you notice there's quite a lot of relationships with people that are extremely wealthy, women especially, and they've tended to be divorced quite a lot. And I have a sneaking suspicion it's because of the husband can't come to terms with the fact that the woman is
They're more successful, and
actually earns more than them,
they earn
or
that.
they're in the limelight all the time and the husband isn't. And I think, and it's a masculinity issue for them because they're brought up in that environment where they think you have to be the main breadwinner.
Hmm. And that's
Who
society
determined that?
got that. Yeah.
Who determined that? Who came up with that rule? That's the point.
Yeah.
That was
I mean,
that's a rule. That's an unwritten rule, or where it came up through cultural evolution. Yet you look at other cultures, and African countries and other countries in the forests and stuff like that. And sometimes the men stay at home, look after the children. The women go out to work. The women go
yeah,
out to hunt.
kind of flipped on its head. Yeah. So what's the
Yeah, it's amazing.
expectation?
Yeah, and that tells you a lot about how we've developed as a culture.
Hmm.
And again, this comes back to success. This comes back to this will determine your success. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of different things, and that comes back to that mindset.
Hmm.
That comes back to that mindset thing. The fact that it's part of your growth as a person. And a lot of people, once they get married, they just switch off and think, right, I don't need to do anything else now.
That's me. That's me.
Yeah, yeah, and it's possible because someone else has waited hand and foot on them their whole life,
Hmm.
and they're expecting the next person that they marry to do the same,
Yeah.
and yet they come from a background where maybe they are waiting for somebody to wait on their hand and foot on them. So they're both sitting there thinking, who's gonna do this for us?
Yeah. You could that's a situation where crap
See the
starts.
conflict,
Yeah.
where that happens in relationships. Where that could do so that's a lot to do with success. So the quicker you can get over that and quicker you can understand that, and I would probably recommend, and this is probably why when you used to get married at the church, and I think you still do when people get married at the church, the minister sometimes insists or offers you, they used to insist, in order to get married at the church, they used to offer you counselling before you got married.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, so you can understand each other. So, and I think that is a very valid reason when
Hmm.
couples get together.
Make sure you're
Actually,
making the right
yeah.
decision.
Well, not necessarily. It's not about making the right decision. It's about understanding each other.
Hmm.
Because I'll tell you what happens is you usually meet somebody when you're like rat-arsed at a disco or something like that, or you're on a night out and something, and then it evolves from there. But
Yeah.
you don't fully work to understand that person really. And then once you're together, it's like, well, we're together. So I've done that bit. I don't really need to do anything else as such. And then we'll just see what happens.
And then you start living together.
Yeah. And then you start living together and you think, oh, there's the
Yeah.
thing. I've known people get married, live together, and then it's all over
Hmm.
because they couldn't live together. Whereas Elaine and I was like, let's live together in the beginning. To the
Yeah.
mortification of our father. Like he was mortified. when it was like living in sin.
Yeah, but then that's a societal thing that's been
That's a
drilled
societal thing forced on you. It's
drilled
like
in over the years.
to
Yeah.
live together, you have to be married. All the rest of it. It's like, no. It says, if I was to go to a shop and buy a bicycle, for example, or I was to buy a bit of kit, I would probably try it out, or buy a car. I'd try it out before I buy it. And and I know that sounds crass, but yeah, that's the kind of mentality behind it.
Yeah.
You'd want to know you're compatible first before you go any further forward. That would
Mhm.
be crazy, just meeting people for the first time and just go, let's get married, and then seeing how you get on.
There's TV shows like that nowadays, which I
But
think
that's
sometimes
because it's TV.
it's entertainment.
Sensationalization, and that's because you've got people out there just wanting to be famous.
Mhm.
That's it. They just want to be famous. They're no bored of earning any money out of it. They just want to be on television. They want to be
Yeah.
noticed. I'd say there's a lot to do with people in terms of up here, if
Mhm.
that's all you really want to do, but to be noticed by other people. It's like you've got a lot of work in the background to do psychologically.
On yourself and your own
Yeah.
self
To
being. Yeah.
understand why you want that, why that drives you, what's behind that. That's what I would say. There's a lot to work on. The only reason I know these things is because I've done it myself.
Mhm.
There's certain things that comes up with me. It's like, yeah, well, that's something I've got to work on. That's thing I have to understand about me. That's how I tick. So I know what to do in certain situations, because I know that's the normal response I'll give, which isn't the greatest response. So I know exactly how to head it off at the pass.
Yeah.
And not follow that pattern of behaviour. It typically happens.
So I think it's safe to say that we've kind of established that the foundations of what you have are really a big factor in how successful you're going to be. I think the only way to learn whether you're doing that, I'm not going to say correctly because it'll be different for everyone, but the right way for you, and it's through education. And I don't mean sitting in a classroom getting a degree. Do you know what I mean? Learning from people, successful people, and do you know whether that's formal or informal, and things about, do you know, the tools that you need for building those foundations, setting the right goals, being aligned with, do you know, whether it's your partner in life or your team that you work with, because you're never going to be successful unless you have all these things kind of aligned.
Big fan of couples counselling.
Mm-hmm.
I know you see it in the television and stuff like that. I mean, how to lose a guy in 10 days or something like that. And it was like, oh, couples counselling, that'll keep you together, because he was trying to win a competition. And that's what I always remember about the words couples counselling. I always laugh at that. But you have to understand the other person. You have to get to know that person, even though it's quite hard to take the knocks in terms of doing that. So that's why sometimes the church actually offers that way forward, in terms of, maybe you should have some sessions with the church before you get married, just to make sure that you actually know you're compatible for each other. They want to see you being successful in your marriage. That's the
In
whole
your
point.
relationship, yeah.
Nobody starts out to deemed for failure, but most people don't actually educate themselves enough to do that. Interesting that we talked about that, because that is fundamentally one of the main reasons. It's the person that you're with for the rest of your life. It will make a fundamental difference.
And I think in anything, I mean, nobody starts out perfect. Everybody's made mistakes, but I think it's important, as long as you're open to kind of learn from them.
You can learn from them. You can learn from your mistakes, but you have to make sure your mistakes aren't fatal enough to wipe you out, I suppose. But you have to have other people that know and understand that you're learning from your mistakes. I tell you what, we have a number of coffee shops in our area.
Yeah.
We have coffee shops that are successful, and some coffee shops that are not successful, and some that are actually even more successful than the corporates. Why is that? And it's because some are prepared to learn and adapt and change to their market, and some are not. It's a classic example about, I've always wanted to open my own shop.
Yeah.
And it's usually typically when somebody wins the lottery. That's what they used to say years ago. I've always wanted to start my own business when I win the lottery. It's like, but if you were capable of starting your own business, you wouldn't have needed the lottery.
Mm-hmm.
If you were confident enough you could be successful in your business, you would have just got a bank loan and done it, because you would have made money to pay off that bank loan. But the fact that you have to rely on winning the lottery in order to start a business is a red flag straight away.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, and
Yeah,
true. I
because
agree
most
with
of them
that. Yeah.
just spend so much money on starting their own business that they don't understand that it just basically wipes them out in the next 2 or 3 years with the amount of money they're pouring into their business.
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't understand the mentality. But it's the old thing about you've possibly not worked for it. You've not done the time, if that makes sense. You've not failed enough times in order to learn from it.
Yeah.
Or how to be successful. That is key. Success is usually typically achieved through failure. If you look at everybody that's successful, at some point in the past, they've probably learned from a failure they've had, or several failures, or lots of failures that they've had. I can't imagine Musk, for the first time, had no failures. I can't imagine Bezos. Look at Branson. Flipping heck. He's got like a failure every single week. And yet
But then
he makes a fortune.
yeah.
He's a multi-billionaire. And he will still continue to be because his successes are far greater than his failures.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Bartlett, O'Leary, Deborah Meaden that I met at Glastonbury.
Yeah.
You know, failure. The amount of businesses that she's invested in, she's seen some beauties, you know, some major failures. And there's some businesses that won't grow as much as what they expected. And again, that could be seen as a failure, but it is what it is. It's a success, really, but it's a failure in terms of what you expected to happen.
Yeah.
These are all things that you can learn from as a result. I mean, I've got a lot of failures in the past.
And would you say they've all, for the most part, taught you a valuable lesson? And what?
Every single one of them.
Every single one, yeah.
Yeah. The franchise with Century 21 taught me a hell of a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody thought that was mega successful. And you know, if you the perception, yeah, it's mega successful. But I tell you what, I lost $1 million.
Behind the scenes, there was a hard lesson you learned there, but now when you look back, you did learn quite a lot for that. And
Yeah, learn a huge amount. Learn a huge amount about a system like that and the people involved in it, and how my naivety and, well, it's a gentleman's agreement, is no longer applicable when it comes to the contract that we signed, and how underhanded that could be from the party you're involved with. So these are lessons that you learn. I mean, I'm still a bit naive about that just today, but it's I have tightened it up, and you know that anyway, with the right contracts in place and stuff like that, and you have to do that, irrespective.
No more handshakes.
Yeah, it used to be a handshake and goes, right, let's get on with it then. And you would just trust people to do that, and the next minute they would just, for want of a better word, shaft you. And then you'd be left high and dry, because then you'd go to a solicitor and go, what can I do with this? Well, where's the contract? And I went, well, I didn't have a contract. It's just an agreement.
Yeah.
Well, if you've got no contract, you've got nothing written down. How could you contend that? There's no evidence to suggest that person could just turn around and say there was no contract. And that's the naivety people go into business with. And into business with we grew up together, we've been at school together, and it's like we were best pals, and it's like we just want to be in business together. And the next minute, there's no agreement, there's no contract, there's no anything, and then that's just a recipe for disaster.
You hear a lot of stories like that, and it's people.
So see how the roots of success can all be driven by the things that successful people have done in the past that you could learn right now, and not need to prove it. No, it's like, oh, I never got a contract in place. That doesn't work. And it's like, oh my God. It's like 100 years of people no getting contracts in place could have told you that you needed to do that before you started. Why did you just learn that lesson? Oh, you had to find out for yourself and to try and prove it right. Well, it's not going to be proved right, because everybody's proved that it's wrong to do. It's like, what part of nobody's ever proved it had been right? So you're not the one that's going to be special enough to do it.
Yeah, and I think that's some people's stubbornness as well, because they think, well, that'll not harm to me. Do you know, it'll be different for me. We've seen it time and time again. Do you know, like you say, people that have grown up together and think, oh, we're childhood friends, and we'll be fine. Let's go, let's shake on it, and then look where you end up.
isn't it a lot to do with? It's probably a lot to do with what they've experienced in the past, I think, and
Okay.
and just that, and the fact that, but it's also a lot to do with, it's not that person. It could be the issue. It could be the person at their partner. It could be the pillow talk that goes on. It could be the friends that go, oh, you can do just as well without these people. It's
Hmm.
classic examples. History is littered with people that have left companies and tried to replicate what they've just left and failed miserably and are no longer in record or on record or anything like that. They've just disappeared in the ether.
It's because they're part of that and they think I could do this, but they're just not taking into consideration
Yeah, they
everything
don't
they've
realize
gone
the
back.
they don't
Yeah.
realize the huge task that goes on round about you.
Hmm.
Here's a great one, and you've probably picked up on the training we were in, and it was one of their sales estate agents actually said this and went, well, and they were asked a question about the number one. You're going to be the number one estate agent in Scotland, and they turned around and went, well, that's no me, that's Jim. It's the number one estate
Yeah.
agent in Scotland.
Hmm.
Now I brought it up at a recent sales meeting and said, you said that about the fact that it's me, it's number one estate agent in Scotland.
It's us.
It's not me. It is us.
Yeah. I did pick
Because
up
I
on.
would never be number one in Scotland if it wasn't for you, and you would never be number one in Scotland if it wasn't for me. I says, so we would never have achieved anything. And without each other, or without all together as a group, without
Collectively,
coming
yeah.
together as a group and a cohesive strategy and a way forward and driving forward for each other, we would never achieve it. You would just be an island on your own.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact that an island on their own isn't as successful as a team it drives together.
Yeah, yeah, you definitely need the team around you, and anything that you do, because like you say as well, people do that with business, and they'll set off, and it's all about them, and it all revolves around them, and they may be relatively successful doing that, but they'll never grow and never get any further in the journey in whatever field they're in, because it all revolves around them.
Well, look at today, for example. Look at my property investment journey, right?
Yeah,
When I was working full time in industry as a financial director, accountant, financial controller,
yeah,
I was managing myself, self-managing, round about 40 properties. Could you imagine me continue to be full time and managing the properties I've got today? It's
no,
like, no. I would be a wee. I mean, bad enough, it did take me to the brink and back.
yeah,
Luckily enough, I managed to stay here, or I wouldn't
mhm,
have been here,
yeah,
to be honest. And I did predict at some point when I was younger, like if I don't do something about it before I'm 40, I'll be dead.
yeah. It would take its toll. Yeah, definitely.
So
Well, it did.
I'm living on borrowed time, 18 years now. But I foresaw if I kept doing what I was doing, I'd be dead before I was 40.
Mhm.
Either have a heart attack or throw myself off the nearest bridge, because I just couldn't cope mentally with everything that was going on. And it was like Bruce Almighty. Remember when he gets all these voices in his head,
Yeah, and it's
and
just
he's like,
yeah,
he's going, "What's that? What's that? What's that? What's that? What's that?" And it's like all that noise at the same time, going on and on about everything you've got to do, and no writing anything down, and no remembering anything, and having to remember it all the time, and staying constantly awake, and then the lack of sleep, it drives that forward as well, and everything that comes with it will drive you to destruction. So you need other people
yeah.
to help you become successful. And as a result, you help them become successful. So you meet their needs. So the whole point is meeting their needs, and they'll help you meet your needs. That's
Yeah.
it. Once these two are aligned, nothing can stop you.
Yeah,
But
meet
when
the meeting the needs things are really, that's a really important thing, and we did cover it. We covered it in training recently, and it's like once you fight, like when you think about your team and think about what the individuals in your team, what their needs are, and if you could strive to meet their needs, then they're going to excel in what they're doing because you're meeting their needs are
some
being
don't
met.
want to tell you,
Uh, yeah,
I'm not going to tell you what my needs are, because you might take advantage of me. You might help me succeed. Sorry?
the fear of
That's
success.
the
I think
whole point.
we've covered that before, and it's
I've
people.
had people in the past that's like, I'm not telling you what my goals are, because you'll help me achieve them. Is that not the point? because they didn't want to do the journey. So they wouldn't want to divulge their goals. That's the thing about humans. It's like we want things, but sometimes we're afraid to tell other people what we want just in case they help us get it.
Yeah, which sounds ludicrous,
because
but
it's not
that's what happens.
it's not a genuine need. It's just a want. And a want is, if I get it, I get it. I'm not really want to put much effort into it. Where a need is like, I need that.
I need to do this for my own self,
And that's different. So a need, usually people will divulge what that need is. A want is typically some people just keep it to themselves because they don't want anybody to know just in case they fail. But what they don't realize, because they don't want the embarrassment of failing, but what they don't realize is because they've not actually went for it or they've not told anybody, nobody's helped them, they do fail. And then they go, see what happens? I failed. Yeah, you got what you expected.
Yeah.
It's like when you sell somebody's property. It's like, what if it doesn't sell? I said, we're not even signed the paperwork yet.
You're setting yourself up for failure before we started.
It's like you're talking about it not selling. Do you hear yourself? I actually confront people like that. And I say, do you actually hear what you're just saying to yourself? What if it doesn't sell and we've not even got it on the market yet and you're talking about disaster already?
Yeah.
What if it does sell? Oh, that'll be great. Well, there you go then. Shut up. It's like,
And all of this kind of does really relate to kind of how I wanted to wrap up on today, and it's talking about external and internal factors. And you spoke about just a wee while ago about listening to other people around you, and you'll get on without them, or you don't need them, and the people down the pub thing and everything. All these voices and white noise, and it's who you should be listening to and who you should be taking advice from. The right advice that actually will drive you forward, and the wrong advice that will hold you back and set you up on a different path that's not aligned with your ultimate goal. There's a lot of external and internal factors that you need to think about. Especially if you've got a big team of people around you.
Yeah, I would say so. Definitely, I think that's the sort of things you've got to think about. Overall, I definitely think it is these things that will fundamentally change you and influence you.
And you can't always control that around you, but you can control how you respond.
No, you can. Remember, you can. If somebody's been completely negative around you all the time, just stay away from them.
Well, that's what I mean. But you can control your response. So, like you say, if you've got somebody negative, don't listen to them. Don't spend time with them. You could control your response. So if somebody's in your vicinity and they're being negative, you could control your response by removing yourself from that situation.
Yeah,
and not taking advice. Yeah.
I had somebody recently actually just throw a wobbler. Nothing to do with business, but just throw a wobbler. It was a personal thing. They just threw a wobbler for some reason. And I was just like, instead of thinking, I'm going to sit and discuss it with you, I just turned around and walked away.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's like, I just walk away.
Yeah.
I
think they were surprised that they maybe just think they've done that in the expectation that you would be like, oh, right, I'll try and help you here.
Stand off. Let's have a standoff. And it's like, let's not have a standoff. I can't be bothered. I'm off.
Yeah.
It's like, I've not got time for things like that. That's just, and it's petty. And it's sometimes what you don't realize is in issues like that, it's sometimes exacerbated by something else, which you've got no control over. So it is somebody in their ear going on about something. It is something that's happened to them recently, maybe a traumatic issue. It's manifested itself in a different way, and it's come out like that. And this is the old expression about who kicked the cat. And it was like, the wee boy got up in the morning and he was just like, his mum was trying to get him out of his bed, and he was like, oh, Mum, I don't want to get out of my bed, and all the rest of it, and shouting and screaming and, taking a tantrum and all the rest of it. I don't want to go to school. I hate it, and all the rest of that. And it's like, and why are you not going to school? So see the reaction there. Why are you not going to school from the mother? And it's like something happened with her. Then she comes down the stairs, and then her husband says, well, she usually makes breakfast. So there's no stereotypes here, by the way, just in case anybody expects that. This is a story, remember. It's all in your mind. So it's all made up. It's not real. It's like, it's amazing how people would kick off on that. It's like, wait a minute, it's not real. It's just a story. So cheese usually makes the breakfast and all the rest of it, and he goes, "Where's the breakfast? What do you mean, where's the breakfast?" Straight on to him, and he's like, "Whoa, what's going on here?" And all the rest of it, it's like, "Whoa, it's not me." And that's a straight argument. It's like, well, you need to make sure that you're there. So he kicks off, and then he goes to his work, and then he says something at work, and he's not in the right frame of mind, and his boss says something. He goes, "What do you mean? I'm quitting." And it's like, "Whoa, wait a minute, what's going on?" And then he comes back home, and she goes, "Well, how did it go the day then?" Because she's all nice and calmed down now, and he's all up to high dough, away up here, and he goes, "I quit my job," and she, "Yeah, what?" And then the cat comes around and curls around her leg, and she kicks the cat. And it's like, the point is, who actually kicked the cat? Because it wasn't her.
It's come all the way for the child in the morning, yeah.
Yep. So you don't know where that's all manifested itself from. So I think the answer to that is have a bit of compassion sometimes. Have a, don't immediately. The one thing I learned from Standard Life when I worked there in a training session, they said, when you're on the phone to someone, remember the one phrase you always remember: behavior breeds behavior. If they kick off, don't ever kick off. Just keep the right tone, keep it calm, all the rest of it. They kick off, deal with the situation professionally, get it solved, and you'll find that they'll calm down as well. If you kick off, it'll just blow out of proportion. And it's always followed me that about, remembering that phrase.
That's absolutely right. It is.
Sometimes I've forgotten. But hey, we're only human. We'll all do that at some point in time. I usually say to people when they castigate someone else for that, it's like, "Hey, he without sin cast the first stone." That'll be no one then.
Yeah.
Because we've all done it.
Yeah. And like you said, I say we all know, we don't all know, but the best way to diffuse a situation like that is to be the calm one and listen and whatever.
Yeah, you can't control how it starts, but you can control how it ends.
Yeah.
Definitely by what you do. And to me, and you've actually written something down here about that is actually power.
Yeah.
You have the power. That's key here. And I think that's so important. I mean, we did tubing at the weekend, cliff jumping. So we never took any videos of that, but we're getting up to the realms of, like, this thing was like about 20 or 30 feet. And I was all right. I was jumping off. This was you've probably done it. It's No Limits in Pitlochry that did it. So you've probably seen it. So hey, let's have a bit of cliff jump and all the rest of it. So we're jumping off and the rest of it. And then Scott was determined to be the highest. So Scott was up at 30 feet and he was like, "I'm jumping." So hey, crack on, go for it, Scott. Because I tell you what, if you didn't do it, your dad's going to come right at the back of you and do it. And then you're going to be in second place. That's what motivated him. I got to the edge and I looked at it and I went, "I'm not jumping there."
I wouldn't either.
You've got to be kidding. I might hurt myself. And I was happy to let him have the accolade. And I do mean, it's like, why would I want to compete against my own son? I would love for my son to beat me. And that's ultimate, because he genuinely has beat me. But he's been telling everybody. Because he expected me to win.
Yeah, but that's good.
See how that does for somebody's confidence and the boost it gives them. That is more important than actually being the number one. That to me is more important. Your job as a parent is to get your children to a position where they're more successful than you are. How you define success is entirely up for you. It's entirely up to you how you define it. But your job as a parent is to get your kids to be more successful than you are.
And an important thing, and you've said this many times, is that, the important thing, like you're saying, is to have them more successful than you, but to pick up from where you are, rather than, because a lot of people do have that mentality, you have to make all your own mistakes and learn from it when they've already done them. So just you teach them.
And then they stand on an electric cable or something like that, and they go, see, I wouldn't have done that because I did that before and it electrocuted me.
Rather than teach them.
Why did you not tell me?
Yeah.
Why did you not tell me not to stand on it? See these difficult. Oh, don't poke that in there because you'll get an electric shock. It's like, oh well, I tell you what, some people just, oh well, just wait for them to do it. Crazy, eh?
And let them learn from them for themselves.
Aye,
But
let them learn from mistakes. Well, the most fatal mistake could be dead.
yeah,
Just to teach them a lesson, really.
yeah, I think that the key is not to learn from their own mistakes. They learn from your mistakes.
Of course, and that is learning from wisdom. Sometimes your
Mhm.
children just don't want it. What do you know, you old fogey? It's like, it's like
Yeah.
that's the familiarity breeds
Some
contempt.
people watching might not know what a fogey is, but it's an old person.
Yeah, and what do you know? You don't know anything. It's like they've trod the path that you're trying to try to more than likely to go through right now. There's a whole load of pitfalls that you could learn from them just to avoid before you even start and get there quicker to where it is you're going. This is why you're told a lot of the times is, and if you want to start in something and you want to start an industry or a business or anything like that, you want to be successful at something, find someone who is more successful than you in that business, or maybe is used to be in that business, and get them to mentor you.
Learn as much as you can from them.
Ask if they could help you. You'd be amazed at the amount of people that will actually help you, even though they're in the same industry. They'll still help you because they don't see you as a competitor. I mean, they'll be huge. And it's like, you're just like, I've just got one coffee shop. And they're like, I've got 50. And it's like, you'll never get to the realms of 50 more than likely. That's why they're going, well, I'll help you with your one coffee shop. This is what you do. This is how you do it. This is where you get stuff from. And make sure you've got this as your staffing. And by the way, your point of sale, you can get this sort of thing. In fact, I'll put you in touch with my team and they'll help you get sorted.
How we do it, and yeah,
You'd be amazed at how many people actually will help people with that. Look at these number of these shows. Look at this.
yeah.
Why would I be divulging all the things that I've done to anybody else? Because I don't see anybody else as a competitor. You're
No.
not going to trod the path that I've trodden. No way, because you'll not be here. I'll probably guarantee you, if you trod the path that I trod, you'll probably never make it. I was lucky that I made it and got out the other side.
So that's probably a driver for you to share your failures and your wisdom and your journey, so that people could learn from it and not make the mistakes that you made. Complete after burnout and feeling in that way that
Yeah,
you
because
did.
people just see the result. It's like the iceberg. They see the
You
top of
didn't
the
see the
iceberg,
journey.
but they didn't see everything that happened underneath.
Yeah.
They don't see all the work it went in the background. They don't see the hours in morning, in the morning, like 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, working on your laptop and working away to formulate a policy for the next day. Or maybe you've just got a brain uh, surge, and you've got
Yeah.
this, like, oh, I've got a great idea. Some sort of brainstorming. You've got a great idea. Let's get something down now. That excitement that goes with that, but that burnout that comes with it as well. These are the sort of things that you could learn from pretty quick. That's what I tell everybody. For God's sake, write everything down and
Oh,
put everything in your diary.
I
Put
used to,
reminders in your diary.
and you've done this as well, Jim. It's like, you lie in bed at night and think of something, or I'll be out walking and think of something. I'll go out and walk the dog, and I think of lots of things when I'm walking the dog, and I've actually started typing them in my phone because I think, oh, I remember that, and I get home from walking the dog, and I'm like, what was that again? Gone.
Send yourself emails sometime.
Yeah.
I mean, I see a great video and I think I've not got time to watch it now, but I'll send it to myself.
I WhatsApp myself quite a lot.
And then I have a
Just that.
look. And
Yeah.
then also I put loads and loads of tasks in my Google Diary.
Yeah.
That I know are on a list of stuff that I want to get to at some point in time. Some of them are yeah, I have to do it now, and some of them are like, yeah, okay, we can get to that at some point in time. Nobody's going to get to it before me or even after me because it's unique to me. But
Yeah.
I know I have to. I know I'll get round to it, but it's not really that important. It's noise just now until it
But
becomes a thing.
it's in that box there when you need to revisit it and think about doing it.
And that's probably what it is overall.
Yeah. Good. Well, yeah, we'll round things up today. And obviously, the routes to success, as we've obviously covered today, are, there's a lot of things. I think taking action is something, all these small compounding steps over time really do add up. And you need to believe in yourself to do that. And belief in yourself is really important. And I think believe in yourself,
It's relentless.
relentlessly. Yeah.
It's relentless. You have to believe in yourself. If you do not, that I mean, you said taking action to begin with, but I think believing yourself is probably the most
Oh,
important thing.
and then
If you
take action.
can't believe it, you can achieve it. You will never do anything. So the believing in yourself is the most important thing. But the belief comes from the continuous learning that you'll learn of other people. And then you start to get belief in yourself. And then you can take action at the same time. And that all intertwines with each other in order to that overall package of on the journey to success. But
Yeah.
it's not a destination.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, and that does kind of round it up quite well today. And we're going to talk about the journey to success, or embracing that journey, and next week's show. So
We
we
are.
will. We are. Yes, I've got it all
Good.
set up. Yeah. So yeah, the
You need to
embracing
get
that.
somebody else on then. Because it'll not be a journey for success. Me.
Yeah. So
But
yeah,
it's
that'll be a
true.
good follow-up.
Think about that, Richard. It's journey for success. Me. It's like, really? It's like I just do what I do.
Yeah.
But I suppose I suppose other people just don't do what I do, which is the continuous learning, which is the watching Diary of a CEO, which is the reading the books, which is the taking action all the time, which is the constant repetition and the discipline, the consistency that goes behind it. So I just naturally think that everybody does that because it's so normal to me.
Yeah, because you've incorporated it into your just your day-to-day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll cover more about that next week, and we'll leave it today. So that was good. Thanks, Jim. Thanks for everybody tuning in. If you're on the rerun, still jump in the comments. We will come back to you. And other than that, we'll see you next Monday, as usual, at 12:30 for the Wealth Creation Show.
By the now.
Thanks, Jim.